I'm here with Jens Larsen.
Thanks for having me on the channel.
Of course. So we're here at NAMM, so we figured we'd do something together. And we wanted to talk about the idea and how mind-blowing it is that we can take one concept and find so many beautiful colors. And specifically, we're talking about taking this major 7 chord, which sounds great, but once we take this kind of sound and utilizing the pentatonic scale on that, and specifically some of the minor pentatonic, you get amazing colors.
Yeah, right. I mean, that is a really strong concept, and you can do it. I mean, you can go from solo ideas to also to some chord ideas, which are, I find, really nice to have in there. You can make a lot of different colors with it, so it's really nice.
Yeah. So if I'm playing this chord as a first kind of step, what would you play on this?
So I kind of always like to think of the C major 7 as an E minor triad with a C in the bass.
100%.
And that means that I'm gonna play my favorite pentatonic scale on guitar. I think most guitar players' favorite pentatonic scale, in fact.
Probably.
Because that's E minor pentatonic. So. And really what's happening here is, of course, you have the C major 7, so just to explain that concept, and it's really so simple, and yet it's so strong, is that the C major 7 is C, E, G, B, so we have the E minor triad, so E, G, B, and then when you add the 2 remaining notes from the pentatonic scale, from E minor pentatonic scale, you're adding like an A, that's a 13, it sounds beautiful, and then the D is also in there, but that's just the 9th, so all beautiful colors.
Really
Everything works, you can get away with horrendous things, and it still sounds beautiful. That's a guitar player's dream.
That's amazing, and indeed, if you want to practice this specific idea, there is a PDF on the Patreon that is dealing exactly with that. We're basically talking about the idea of upper structure, so taking a color and getting automatically the extension. So when I'm soloing and improvising or creating something over the C major 7, I'm just utilizing the E minor pentatonic and I'm getting all these beautiful colors like you're saying. Another one that is cool but a little dangerous is to play the B minor pentatonic. Now, I'm saying dangerous just because it has a little bit more friction, but it's really cool.
So, if I do the chord, maybe.
So if I'm playing that color, I'm getting the major 7, I'm getting the 9, I'm getting the the 3, but I'm also getting the flat 5. So I have all these kind of beautiful, but kind of a little harsh sounds, and then I'm getting the 6. So play it one more time, just so we hear it kind of slowly. If I'm playing just the shape, is this kind of like, you know, it doesn't sound necessarily as good as finding some variation or kind of utilizing the notes as colors. So please click the like button and subscribe, it would mean a lot. Thank you. So if I'm just kind of... And I think when I'm thinking about the B minor pentatonic, I'm always thinking about the center as C and trying to feel all the notes as C major, if that makes sense. So it's like really, this is the 9, it's the major 7, it's the 6, the flat 5, it's the 3, etc. Right?
Yeah, because that can be a little bit dangerous. That when you're playing the first time you put something on top of it, you probably already have a sound connected to the pentatonic scale, and that's good. That's a good thing. But if you're playing over a C major 7 and you're then trying to play something that's E minor pentatonic and you're kind of hearing, then that's going to be a little bit difficult, right? Because it doesn't fit together. So you kind of need to get. It's a very useful thing to just say, okay, put this in a looper pedal, or get Rotem to play a C major 7. So I actually went back to E minor, but I don't think that's a problem. So I'm really just sort of trying to land on the different notes and just, okay, this note has this sound when I'm using it here because it does sound different.
Point always just expanding the palette of sounds in a musical way as much as possible, so it's not just shapes and kind of patterns.
you're just getting a new sound to all that stuff you already have in your fingers. I think that's how I feel.
Yeah,
about
totally.
It.
It's amazing. What another thing that you might do with pentatonic or C major 7 on this?
So there's one more pentatonic scale we probably should mention just quickly. That also works, of course.
Yeah.
And that would be C major pentatonic. So that would be A minor pentatonic.
Totally.
Because as guitar players, we kind of prefer the minor pentatonic scales. So that's good. Yeah. So there you have it. And you can also, I don't know if that's easy to explain, but I really love the sound of pentatonic melodies because there is really a sound to that.
Yeah.
And that is also a very strong part of this, that you get this, like you're really getting a different sound than if it's like, you know, like if you're like straight in bebop country, and then you get, it quickly becomes something completely, like just the melodies just sound so different.
Totally.
And that's a beautiful thing actually. One thing that I really love to do about that one is maybe we should try and turn them into chords, because I think that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. And then I'll show you a really, really cool thing with how you can work with that.
Yeah.
That's a really nice sort of hack for that.
Sure.
So one thing that I really like a lot is if you're playing like coming out on a C major 7 chord at some point, and you have a bit of time on it, then you can start saying, well, I want to play some fills, but maybe I don't want to play like, I want to play something with chords. And pentatonic scales make beautiful chords. So really what I'm doing with this is like if we take this shape of the pentatonic scale, like just basic E minor and the 7th fret here, then the way you create chords is just by stacking thirds in the scale. Now that gets a little bit funny when you do it in a pentatonic scale in terms of how you think about it, but if you just take every other note and make chords, then it sounds amazing. So now like if I make 3-note chords, right, so just to show you the first one, like they're skipping here and going here and here. And really, what's nice about pentatonic scales is we play them 2 notes per string. So it's a little bit like you're just sort of playing, if you think of the diagram, you can just think of like 3 strings together and then the other set.
Yeah.
I really think of it a lot like that. That's a nice sort of visual way. And you don't really have to think about, they are all good. So you don't have to think about so much about which notes are in there. You can just use it as sort of this tapestry of colors.
Yeah.
And then move them around.
Totally.
And then for the E minor, I think, can you play C major 7 chord?
Yeah.
And then it's just like extra colors you can put on top, and they all work, and you can play sort of small melodies with it and be pretty free with it.
Yeah.
So that would be sort of the first layer on that one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I think you can take these chords and do a small variation, a small melodic variation. So I'm thinking about these chords now.
Right.
Now I chose the B minor pentatonic just for the,
so if I do,
you know. So I'm getting basically this, I guess 5. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Just kind of like 3 and 2. But the point is, I'm looking at these chords that you're mentioning here, and I'm kind of like articulating these chords in a melodic way.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. So and that's also maybe a thing to think about, because when we play jazz, if you're coming out of playing more jazz, we tend to take scales, turn them into arpeggios, and then think in those terms.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work. It kind of luckily doesn't work on pentatonic scales. So then you have to get a completely different. Then you get that beautiful sound. That's the pentatonic melody sound that's in there. I think that's such a big part of it. And you will hear that also if you hear people playing pentatonic scales. They use patterns really a lot, because you cannot rely on arpeggios in the same way.
Yeah.
And that's also just a part of that sound, I think. It's nice.
Yeah, finding the patterns and the jumps. It's always nice to find these shapes that are just like bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Intervals.
That's one. One that I like to do with is also if you play, kind of do the same thing, but where you just turn that into this. Essentially, it's just playing the scale, but it's like this really large arpeggio of 4th intervals in the scale, right? And it's really easy to play because you're just playing. You're starting on the root, moving up a 4th, skipping a string, then it's the same thing. actually is an Alan Holthos.
Nice.
That's
Really
but
cool.
it's a nice one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that can be sort of a nice chord run.
Play it and see one more time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had to practice that.
So that's a good one. Another thing, which like the way I was using the arpeggios. Let's say that I do.
Yeah.
Actually, just do the same with the B minor pentatonic. Just have a little bit of color in there. So if I do this one, then we turn it into chords.
Yeah.
Now you can already do a lot with the chords in itself, like that.
Yeah, sounds
You know,
great.
so it just works. That's great. But one thing that is also nice to have in there is to start arpeggiating.
Ah, nice.
And then immediately it becomes just, I mean, like classical piano music.
Wow, I never really did that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and just finding different ways.
Yeah, because it's basically this like kind of like piano.
Yeah.
It's like wow, it's really cool.
And of course, now I'm doing this in the position because that's we tend to think of that, but you kind of want to.
Yeah, oh, it's beautiful.
And you have this whole tapestry that you just, in any chord you start with, you just sit on a bit, maybe find another version of and see like where is this going to take me, or is this maybe I kind of wants to go here. And,
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Guitar players often thinks about the pentatonic as this kind of shape and position, but it's really cool to kind of break out of that as well. So something that I like doing is thinking about for example, E minor pentatonic, and thinking about maybe 3 notes per string, but trying to see the notes. So I'm like just kind of starting here. So I get this like basically big spread. Maybe it's 3 or 4 notes. It's usually 3 notes, but I'll just try to like start at a certain point, the lowest point of the guitar, and just kind of like play it and find the notes. And sometimes I'll do it like I'm doing right now, which is, I guess I'm picking every note, and sometimes I'll try it as sort of like hammer on. Maybe here I need to write that as well. But the idea for me here is to kind of see the pentatonic in a different way. So it's not always like, oh, this is just my shape. It's not always that. And then I try to see the notes. And feel the colors. I'm thinking about steel.
No, so
maybe it's
maybe.
Yeah, you can kind of see it just like. Right, so it's not necessarily a position, it's just these colors, and I'm trying to challenge myself a little bit to not kind of like do the default movement with that. Yeah,
that's a nice one. But don't you also sometimes, because that's what I've sometimes explored a bit, is to make them into like a repeating pattern.
Yeah.
So instead of just having them sort of spread out like this, I mean, for the overview, that's a great thing to do. And also just to open you up for melodies that are moving out of the pentatonic box, because we kind of get a little bit stuck in like, and then.
nice.
It's just nice to just
Yeah.
able to sort of grab out of that one. And I really find that, like for instance, this one is kind of easy, like finding sort of easy, practical, I like practical solutions. So this one is like a really practical way of playing a pentatonic scale where I'm starting on the 3rd, like a minor pentatonic, and then you kind of just have a pattern that's just like repeating for every string set,
And then what would you do? So you're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
And what would you do with it? What's the next step for you after seeing the shape? Like messing with it a little bit?
Yeah, and then you first make it in, it's a little bit like you take it and you make it into sort of a pattern.
Yeah.
And then maybe I have a sort of a little bit OCD with it, but then I immediately want to change the pattern.
Nice.
so I'll go up and go. Add a few wrong notes, but so immediately like the 3rd time I'm like I need to play something else, and then I'm going to that one. And I mean, I think it kind of pays off to also just check out, even though some of them might seem like a little bit difficult to play. Whenever something is difficult to play, then maybe there's like one thing that it does really well. So sometimes I'll just take one of those and then mess around with it.
Yeah.
this will work, or this, and maybe you don't always find.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's
really
just,
cool.
just because it's like, oh yeah, this is the melody I'm moving around, and it's something I can repeat in moving. Now I was moving down, and then it works because I'm repeating something. That makes it a story.
Yeah.
But you just need to sort of change it just a little bit and see, okay, what can I do with it?
Totally. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Cool. Thank you so much for listening and hanging. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course, glad to have you. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.
2, 1, 2.
Yeah, man. So fun. Beautiful.